Thank you all for being here today. My partner in crime, Sean, couldn't be here today. He had a little family emergency, so I'm soloing it today. Which is no big deal. I can do that. I've done this before hundreds of times.
We have faith in you.
So we're talking about effective exercise and how it affects, well, we got a variety of people, college students, and we'll just round it out and say everybody. But I have some statistics specifically for college students. But you know, why should we exercise? Besides many of the health benefits of, you know, preventing heart disease, people who exercise have 2 times less chance of having a heart attack, same with stroke. Also helps prevent diabetes, osteoporosis, especially ladies. Helps strength training and exercising, any weight-bearing type of exercise really helps prevent osteoporosis and helps increase your bone density. This is the sheet that I somehow misplaced somewhere that had all these statistics on it. Helps maintain your weight. And everybody's heard all these, I'm sure, before on the news, all the benefits of exercise. What's kind of interesting, what's really been coming the last 5 years or so, is how exercise affects students and how they learn and their cognitive abilities. And I'm just going to kind of read off this article that I found. This was done in September 14th, 2012. And it's pretty interesting. 5 reasons why college students should make time for exercise. Okay, so I'll skip part of this. You know, scientific evidence is piling up that shows regular exercise provides important cognitive benefits that could make your scholarly efforts a little less taxing. Okay, so number 1, exercise stimulates brain cell development. Okay, recent human and animal studies show that regular aerobic exercise has profound effects on the brain. So the New York Times did an article on how exercise could lead to a better brain, and it describes an experiment performed at the University of Illinois, and they used mice, but mice who ran regularly on a wheel had more neurons and brain cells than those who did not. So a wheel is very similar to a treadmill. Just go in a circle. You end up in the same spot. Okay. Also, mice who can regularly had more. Also, mice who ran regularly had more complex connections between neurons, meaning they were able to access their brain cells more flexibly. Finally, mice who ran regularly did better on cognitive tests such as completing a maze. So there's evidence that this is a direct relationship also to human beings. Okay, and in the next few years you'll see more and more studies, especially for college students, since a lot of times, and I'm going to read one from Purdue University. They can really track this college students because they all have IDs and they swipe their IDs when they go into fitness centers, so they can tie in how often they're exercising to GPAs and that kind of thing. So exercise, number 2, exercise improves memory retention. The hippocampus is a structure in the brain that controls the formation, retention, and recall of memories. In most adults, the hippocampus starts to shrink slightly during the late 20s, leading to memory loss over time. Now, evidence in a 2011 study recounted in the New York Times article mentioned above shows that exercise prevents this shrinkage and may even promote regrowth. So over time, if we don't exercise, that part of the brain shrinks. And another part they did, a group of seniors were randomly assigned to a stretching program or a walking program for a year. After the year was over, the stretching group's brains were scanned and the hippocampus had shrunken according to normal expectations. Okay, because stretching isn't an aerobic exercise. Okay, you need something to get your heart rate up. In the walking group, which is, okay, the hippocampus had grown. So for college students, the implication is clear. The regular exercise could benefit the parts of the brain that help you recall information. Okay? So they've done also a lot of information on test taking and stuff. People who exercise actually do better on tests. So exercise increases focus and concentration is number 3. Okay? In a 2009 Canadian School for Learning Disabled and ADHD children took part in an experiment that involved having students exercise for 20 minutes on treadmills or exercise bikes before starting their math class. So teachers noted a marked improvement in students' ability to concentrate, participate, and retain information during the class after they had exercised. Inappropriate behavior had also improved in the group that exercised. Okay? So, additional experiments of this type, such as those taking place in Naperville, which is near Chicago, suggest that 3 20-minute sessions a week is the minimum dose needed to reap the concentration benefits of exercise. Okay. So that's interesting. So, and that probably makes a lot of sense for kids with ADHD and stuff. If you can kind of get them exercise and kind of get them to get a little of their energy expelled, but that it really helps their concentration a lot. Okay. The number 4 is obviously exercise boosts mood, and that's been kind of proven over the last decade or so also. So numerous studies have shown that exercise profoundly improves your mood. 1999 Duke study into the effects of exercise on depression had some participants work out while others took a well-known antidepressant medication. By the end of the study, the exercise group showed as much improvement in mood as the medicated group did. So college students looking to maintain their positive attitude to succeed can benefit from regular exercise in helping their mood. Okay? And also, here's a good one for students and also for us. Exercise relieves stress. Prolonged stress can lead to health problems, such as heart attacks, stomach problems, etc. Exercise, by helping you sleep better and easing anxiety, can relieve the negative effects of stress on your body. Many regular exercises also find they can focus constructively on problems during or after a bout of exercise. So that kind of goes back to the concentration part. So make time to exercise. Choose an activity you like that gets your heart rate up. Whether it's hiking, running, dancing, anything that gets your heart rate up, whatever you like enjoy to do. And that's why there's so much difference in, shoveling, so much difference in cardiovascular equipment. And people ask me, well, is the elliptical better than the arc trainer or the treadmill? And really, they're all the same. They all try to get your heart rate up, and that's what reaps you the benefit from health benefits and also cognitive benefits of exercise. So whatever you like to do is more important than, one's necessarily better than the other.
And it not just works for the ADD, it works for the OLD too.
Well, and that's true especially for older adults and maintaining balance and being able to be independent for longer in their older age. It's made a huge difference.
But the important thing about choosing something you enjoy too is that you will do it consistently, and that's the key, is doing it consistently.
Yes.
Exactly. That helps. Even you're always going to have days where it's going to, you don't feel like working out, but if you do enjoy it, and that's why variety is, I think, is important also. Because if you go out, and I could never understand how people could walk on a track every day. I'd rather either pick a route out where I can see something else, or.
And as far as variety, if your body gets used to the same thing, it's not challenged anymore, and you need to do different things to challenge your body, right?
Yeah, and that's doing something different usually challenges your body also, and changing your walking routes and that kind of thing. Because, like I said, if you do the same thing over and over again, your body gets used to it and it gets boring. So that was the 5 disorder. That's just telling you who wrote it. So that was interesting, I thought, and how much exercise really affects people's cognitive ability to retain information. And I think a lot of college students probably don't realize that, and a lot of people don't really realize that. I think we're starting to find more information on that. This was an article on college students working out on campus gyms get better grades. And this was through Purdue University. College students who visit their campus gyms are more likely to exceed in the classroom, according to data from the university. And this lady was quoted, students who worked at Purdue's gym at least once a week were more likely to earn a higher grade point average than students who visited less or not at all. For example, they have 1,820 students who visited Purdue's Recreation Center at least 16 times a month and earned a GPA of 3.1 or higher. The correlation between grades and gym use also is shown with moderate user students who use the gym at least 7 times a month had an average GPA of 3.06. So, and this is the study that showed that, and they were the ones that were able to really track it through the cards and IDs. So universities throughout the country are really making an investment to improve student life and to retain students, but we think something more is happening, this lady says. Some might assume that gym time is a distraction from academics, but it's really a part of the learning landscape. And I thought that was a really good quote from that lady. It should be, and for health reasons. So those are some reasons we all should exercise. And I'm going to go through this packet of info. Does everybody have one of these? Yeah? All right. Effective exercises you can do anywhere. Okay? So on this, it's double-sided. So on this back page, I first wanted to talk to you about target heart rate. And we were talking about exercises, aerobic exercise, cardiovascular exercise. They're synonyms that mean the same thing, really. It's getting your heart rate to a certain range is where you really reap the benefits from exercise. Okay? And so a lot of people don't understand that. And a lot of people think that increasing their activity, which does help them, but to really reap the benefits for cardiovascular disease and stroke and the health benefits, it's very important to get your heart rate into its target range. And this little page is a way to calculate it. Okay? And it's not real hard. You'll see other charts, like I have one in the gym, and you might see some on your treadmill, or you might see some in the gym where you work out. And it usually goes by age, and then they have a percentage. This is a little better method because it uses your resting heart rate to figure out the calculation. Okay? And it's kind of a big difference. So they're all kind of a guide, but this tends to be a little better guide. Okay? So if you look at the number one, you determine your predicted maximum heart rate. So if you're a guy, you do 210, and you subtract half your age. And you probably won't be able to do this now because you're not going to know your resting heart rate, but you can play along if you like. Ladies, 220 minus your age, and that equals PMHR, which just means peak maximum heart rate. So that's, if your heart rate gets above that, you want to slow down. And normally, if your heart rate's like that, you're going to want to slow down anyway. Most of the time, it won't get that high unless you're doing something really strenuous, running, sprinting, that kind of thing. And also, it tends to, if you haven't exercised in a while, it might jump up that high.
So if it gets to this figure, it's too high.
Yep, it's too high. Normally, we don't have it too often. All right, so taking your resting heart rate, that's number 2. Okay? So, the best time to find your resting heart rate is actually in the morning when you wake up and before coffee or anything else. It might be in the morning to stimulate your heart. Okay? Caffeine, nicotine, all those raise your heart rate. Okay? So, you can also do it if you've been sitting for 10, 15, 20 minutes and haven't had any soda or coffee in a little while. You'll get a pretty close idea. And that's, it might be, it's, average resting heart rate for people goes anywhere from 50 to 100. So that's why there's a big difference in how to do a target heart rate. The better shape you're in, usually the lower resting heart rate you have. Because your heart doesn't have to beat as often to get the blood to your brain and the muscles it needs. That's called stroke volume. So your heart is able to push out blood with each stroke. So if your heart is really strong and it can push out a bunch of blood each time with each stroke, it doesn't have to beat as fast. Okay? So, like marathon runners and Olympic athletes, they have resting heart rates usually down in the 50s. Okay? Average person is around 72 to 80. And it might vary from, and like I said, it's going to vary from person to person. your genes and other things affect that also. All right, so you'll get that number. You're going to plug that in later. Okay, so you're going to subtract. You're going to take your peak maximal heart rate, put it down into number 3. Subtract your resting heart rate. You're going to get answer 3, and you're going to plug that answer down into number 4. Okay. So no one said they were going to do math today, did they? Exercise and math. It's easy math, all right? So you're going to multiply that by 60% or 0.60, and also you're going to multiply it says 0.70. Now, I would actually recommend you go up to 0.75 or even 0.80. Okay? For everybody. Yep.
Okay, so I just did my resting heart rate at 78, so that's kind of high.
That's pretty high. But for you to listen.
Maybe you're more excited than you think you are. You might think you're resting, but you're not. You're
Yeah, I'm
hyped
kind of
up.
hyper, so that sounds normal.
You're hyped up because this is very exciting.
Yeah.
And so how could you not have a higher resting rate?
So you try it later in the evening, and then if you remember, the hard part of doing it in the morning is to actually remember doing it.
Yeah.
But if you're not a big coffee drinker, you could do it like I said, as long as you're, as long as you haven't had any caffeine or anything.
She makes coffee nervous.
So that's going to give you answer 4A and 4B. Okay? And so you can go up to 0.95%. So it's basically a percent of your heart rate. That's what you're going to get a chart. But for most people who are doing, walking or lower intensity exercises, the 0.6 to 0.7 is pretty good. If actually you want to do some more harder training, like interval training, which actually burns more calories and stuff, you want your heart rate a little higher than that. Okay? And it doesn't have to be higher the whole time, but it needs to get up there. Okay? All right, so you go to number 5, so you're going to plug that answer that you just did under 5, and you're going to get your resting heart rate. You're going to add that back in, and it's going to give you your lower target heart rate and your upper target heart rate. Okay? So that is the range that you need to be in. And so for me, that's about 133 to about 155 beats per minute. So how do you find it? All right? Lots of equipment have heart rate monitors on them. All this equipment we have downstairs, you can hold on to something and it'll pull your heart rate up for you. There are heart rate monitors you can buy, or you can do it old school. If you have a watch or a clock somewhere there, you can just find your pulse. Usually on your wrist is easiest. Some people find it on their neck a little better. And the quickest way to do it is just take it for 10 seconds and multiply it by 6. And that'll give you 60 seconds. Okay? Especially when you're exercising, when you need to be trying to take your pulse for 2 or 3 minutes at a time, your heart rate's just going down. But that's going to give you a real quick reading. So after 10 minutes of exercise, approximately, you need to be to that lower number. Okay? So that you're lower. If you're not, so if your lower target heart rate's 120, and you exercised, and after about 15 minutes and you checked it, and it's still at 90, you need to increase your intensity somehow. So whatever you're doing, if you're walking on a treadmill, you can try to walk faster, or you can make it go uphill, and that'll increase the intensity. If you're walking outside, you can try to walk faster. You can find a hillier route, which is pretty easy in Kentucky to do. Find a couple of hills to go up. Or if you really wanted to, you can hold on to some hand weights. Those will raise your heart rate. They don't have to be very heavy, pound, pound and a half, 2 pounds. You don't want ankle weights. Stay away from the ankle weights, but hand weights are good. Anything that helps you increase your heart rate. Okay, hills are the easiest one. And a lot of times you'll see people, they'll walk up a hill and they'll walk back down and they'll do like 3 or 4 loops up the hill because going up that hill really gets your heart rate up higher, and that's how you burn more calories. Helps you burn more calories that way. Okay, so lots of people who exercise don't monitor that. And we tend to be creatures of habit. We like to do the same thing over and over again. So what happens is you'll go out for a walk, and you got this full route you walk, and you do that for 3 weeks, and the first 3 weeks is just killing you. But then the next 3 weeks gets a little easier. The next 3 weeks, that's pretty easy. What's happening is obviously your body's adapting to the exercise, right? But also your heart rate's not getting up very high anymore after the 3 or 4 weeks, so you need to try to increase your intensity, okay, to make it a little harder so you get more benefit from the exercise. Does that make sense? Otherwise, we tend to stay right in the same spot. And that happens, I hear that all the time. It's like, you know, the first couple months I was seeing really good results, and then I just stopped. You know, and I said, well, have you done anything different? Or have you increased either the time or the distance? Okay, it's actually called the FIT principle: frequency, intensity, and time. Okay, to make something more intense, you have to increase one of those 3 things: frequency, how many times a day, a week you do it; intensity, how hard you do it, or how high your heart rate is; and time is how long you do it for. So if you're exercising for 20 minutes, you increase it to 30 minutes. So we all have to take that FIT principle and put it into our workout, so we're increasing, making it a little harder for us. Because all exercise really, if you put it in a nutshell, is overloading your body somehow and your body adapting to it. And then once it's adapted to it, do it again. Okay? Whether it's aerobic exercise, you overload it by exercising at a higher intensity or more frequently or for longer, or if it's even weight training, you do the same thing. You lift a heavier weight, or you weight train more days, or you do more repetitions. Okay? So basically, what they want you to recommend also is, so frequency, American Council of Exercise, all the different fitness organizations, the government, basically want you to exercise 3 to 5 days a week, getting your heart rate into its target zone, okay, to reap the benefits from cardiovascular exercise, okay? If it's a lower intensity, they want you to go a little longer. So if you're walking, they would rather have you walk for 30 or 40 minutes. But if you're running or on a machine that's getting your heart rate up high, like into the 70 or 75 percentile, you can actually do a little less time, okay? And that's basically just for health benefits. Obviously, the more you do, the more calories you burn if you're trying to lose weight and other things that's involved. But that's basically just for health benefits, okay? So the rest of this packet is basic exercises that you can kind of do almost anywhere, really. Walking's a good one because you can almost walk anywhere, unless it's raining or cold, and then you can go inside and walk on treadmills or go to the mall or that kind of thing. But some of these you can do in conjunction with a cardio program, or you can actually make these exercises your cardiovascular program if you get your heart rate up high. Okay? So there's about 11 programs in here, and it says you should always warm up for about 5 minutes before you do any of this. If you can't get outside, it says 5 minutes of walking. You can do some jumping jacks or something just to kind of get your heart rate warmed up a little, get your muscles warmed up. They don't like you to do static stretching first anymore. Static stretching is like if I was going to stretch my hamstring, and put up your knee down, hold it, and count to 30. Okay? That's static stretching. They don't want you to do that at the beginning anymore. They want you to do that at the end of your exercises. So when you're done working out, that's when you should static stretch.
So even if you were going to run or something, you're not supposed to do that, really?
They would rather have you do, they call it dynamic flexibility or dynamic stretching, and they're all more, there's no holding of it. So actually, like walking lunges, where you just do walking lunges, is a dynamic flexibility. So people who run will do those kind of things. They'll do leg swings. And if you Google dynamic flexibility, you'll find different ways to do that. And it's basically more warm-up movements than it is anything else. Okay? To become more flexible, though, the static stretching works better. So if you're trying to be more flexible or increase your flexibility, so you want to do that at the end and pick about 8 or 9 different stretching exercises that you can do, and then do them at the end, and then you become more flexible. All right. So on these exercises, you can do these. There's no right or wrong way of doing them or any order. You could do them all. Like it says, and do 6 to 20 reps, 1 to 3 sets, 2 to 4 times. So you can do the sprinter pulls, and you can do, well, we're going to go through that in a second. You could do the sprinter pulls first, and then do those 3 sets in a row, and then go to the next exercise. Or you could do it as a circuit and go down and do all 11, and then go back and do them again. Okay? Or you could even pick, 5 or 6 of them that you like out, and just do those 5. Okay? So the main thing is, though, getting your heart rate up. So it doesn't matter which exercise. I mean, it's nice to work all the body parts, but it's more important to get your heart rate up. So pick the exercises that you like to do, and some of these will get your heart rate up a lot faster than others. For instance, these sprinter pulls will. So flip over.
So are these the more effective ones?
Well, yeah, some of them are pretty hard. So some people who are beginning an exercise program, some of these are very difficult, and then some of them are geared more towards beginners. The sprinter pulls, and some of them, if you had like maybe some knee problems or something, it might not be the best exercise also. But all these are effective at what they do. But really being effective is more, if you're looking at the big picture, is more about really getting your heart rate up than anything. Okay? These are nice because you can do them anywhere at home. If you're looking to gain strength, you're better off lifting weights, going down to the gym or going to the YMCA and getting on some sort of weight training program, because it will get you stronger faster. Okay? But what's nice about these is you can just roll out in your living room or your basement or something and crank these out in about 20 minutes, and you've got a nice little exercise routine. Okay? So it makes them flexible that you can do them kind of anywhere. So sprinter pulls, it's nice, they got nice little pictures. And this is through my website not my website, the website that I'm certified through, the American Council of Exercise. And you can go on that. If you go to www.acefitness.org, I do believe you can get any of these didn't print out, and they have more of them than these. These are the ones that I thought were good. So sprinter pulls, basically you're starting in kind of a kneeling position, and then you just drive up. 1, 2, 3. So 3 is easy, but once you get into number 20 or 25 and do higher repetitions on them, really good way to get your heart rate up. It's also really good for hips, core muscles, glutes. Okay? So it works a lot of muscles, it works a lot of big muscle groups. Okay? And again, you want to do one side at a time, so you start, maybe do 20 of these on this side, and you switch and then you do 20 on the other side. Okay? So lunges, another great exercise for your abs and your hips and your butt. And you can do either a regular straight lunge. Am I out of the picture?
Oh no, I'm just making sure it's recording.
Where you just go down, back. You can hold on to hand weights if you want. Okay. What you don't want to do with the lunge, though, is when you come down, you don't want your knee to go way over your toes. You want to try to keep that knee and your ankle almost lined up. It'll come over a little. And you don't have to go all the way down. It's better to, if you can, get your knee to the ground. But if it hurts, don't do it. Okay. So, or you can do walking lunges, where you go this way, down, you walk across the floor. Those are all kind of a squatting exercise, both of them, or a lunge exercise, mainly for hips, quads, and hamstrings, and mainly all the lower body. Questions on that?
But it's the same old rule, if it hurts, don't do it.
If you're getting like joint pain because you're doing it, they'll hurt. But muscle burn's okay. But you don't want joint pain to hurt. Usually, if you're getting pain, all you're doing is aggravating that joint. You're not making it any better. You can't work, by doing exercise, so I just have to work through it. It doesn't work with joint pain. It makes things worse. It gets things more aggravated. All right, let's see. Pulls, lunges, side lunge.
Time for the show.
So a side lunge is, instead of going this way, you just go sideways and back. But it's working more of the outside of your glute, your gluteus medius, for any anatomy people. So back and forth. I think he has his hands up here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you can just go this way. Or you can just go back and forth. Okay. Different angle, and you'll notice if you ever start like a weight training program or do a lot of exercises, a lot of times you do a lot of the same movements, but they're all different angles. So you're kind of hitting the same muscle groups, but it's just different. For example, if you're doing like a pull-up, like this, you're working your back muscles, and if you're doing a row like this, you're still working your back muscles, but you're just working them differently. They work different. They pull on different back muscles. So it's good to do both. You kind of mix it up. All right, everybody loves these push-ups. Okay, so you can do a regular push-up. You want to be nice and straight. Okay, if you can't do push-ups, you can modify it. Modified push-up, or if you want to be sexist, the girl push-up. If you can't do those, you can start easy and just do wall push-ups. Let me pop the camera again. Where you just lean against the wall, like this, and do push-ups. Okay?
Those are not as effective, I assume.
Well, if you can't do the other ones and you can do those, they're effective.
I guess could you then lower yourself down and do table push-ups?
Oh, against the
Maybe a
table?
little bit more.
You mean like this?
Yeah, once you conquer the wall, then.
Make sure the table doesn't slide out from under you.
Right.
How about doing the ones on the ball where you roll out and then I do those sometimes.
Those are hard. And you could do, this is a stability ball, which we're going to talk about here in a second, but you could, if you lean this against a wall, I don't know if anybody can see this, over here. You lean this against this wall like this, you can do push-ups against the wall this way if you want. It's a little tougher on the wrist. But again, that's a modified, easier way to do it, just kind of a regular
What I
push-up.
was talking about is where you, like your
Yeah.
stomach's on the ball.
And you roll out.
Yeah.
Those are harder. So she's talking about having to roll out on the ball and then do push-ups.
To me,
Yeah,
they're
right
right.
after that,
So
on
those,
the back.
those are a little more challenging.
The one-hand push-ups.
Or if you take one leg off the ball and do them.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, a kid could probably do it. Like a little kid could probably do it easy. Like
Kids love these things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kids tend to be, push-ups are kind of hard for them.
Yeah, but doing stuff like that,
They think it's fun.
Yeah.
So if you can make it fun, it's better. So I do believe the next couple of ones of these involve the ball, and I'll just talk about it for a while, for a second. So those who've never seen one of these, this is, they call them a stability ball. Okay? You can get these anywhere anymore. You've probably seen them in the gym if you go on with several of them downstairs. They go by different sizes for different heights. So I should have brought the chart up because I can't remember. This is a 65 millimeter ball, and it's designed for someone who is, I think, 5'8 to 6'2. If you look for them in the store, it'll say on the package what they're made for. They're not a big difference. So if someone's shorter, they're going to be on a lower ball. Okay. So this is one that would be my size that I use. It doesn't make a huge difference, but they are designed for height. They've been used since the 50s. They probably started in physical therapies and kind of have branched out since that. They make you balance more, so you have to stabilize your body more when you exercise, and when you stabilize, you use more muscles. Okay? So, for instance, that's why when you walk out and do push-ups, you're having to stabilize your stomach and your legs and your core. All your muscles are contracting to hold yourself on the ball, and then you have to do push-ups on it. So that makes that exercise harder, but it makes it better because you're actually using all your muscles. Okay? We tend to be, not all weight machines are great for you, like some of the Nautilus machines are. They're good for strength, but anything you sit down on sometimes, you don't have to stabilize anything. So if I'm doing a chest press like this, all I'm really working is my chest, which is good. But sometimes if you have other machines where you stand up and push, you get more of the muscles that you work. So they tend to be a little more effective, depending on what you're trying to do. So a lot of therapy, these are great if you have back problems. And I can show, we'll go through a couple exercises that are specific for back, but if you need any more, I can show you about 20 of them in about 2 seconds that you can do on there. The next one is a stability ball. It's called a glute bridge. Okay? So, the glutes are your butt. You're going to get on the, lie down here, put your feet up on the ball. Make sure you got a good, and then just stabilize and hold up. You put your band over there, and just hold it, count to like 20 or 30, and lower. Okay? So that's working mainly your glutes, but it's also working your lower back. And then make that harder, you can lift one leg off the ball. Once you get up and stabilize, you lift the leg off the ball. It makes it a lot harder once you've conquered the first one. Okay? So this is a really good core exercise, stability exercise, but it's not really going to get your heart rate up. So that's why I said when you kind of look at this program, you might want to pick some of them that actually get your heart rate up more, and then you can kind of fill them in with ones that don't. So you might like do that sprinter pull, and then to give yourself a little rest, you might want to do some bridges. And then maybe come back and do some lunges, which will jack your heart rate back up again. So you can kind of play, there's no right or wrong answer.